Hey guys, how you doing? I know I said we were going to start to go into some different texts, some non-biblical texts, but I recently did the book of Psalms and I thought I'd share it with you. So let's jump right in. Aquarius. Now I know that the year starts in Aries, but I start in Aquarius because that's January. That's the beginning of our year. So the first sign is Aquarius, which is represented by the man with the water pitcher. Whenever you hear son of man, baptism, because this is how you baptize someone, is a man with a water pitcher pouring the water out onto the head. Water pitcher, fountain, stream, river, pond, lake. You're talking about Aquarius. Same with Pisces. Pisces being a mutable water sign, actually. You're obviously talking about water. All the same water examples apply to Aquarius. Now, because Aquarius is an air sign, okay, people are wondering how water applies to it. Well, water applies to it because the sign has water in it. So whenever they're talking about water, you have to differentiate if it's Aquarius or Pisces, which we'll get into. And Aries is the ram. And in Aries, you have March 21st, which is the spring equinox. It's a 12-hour day, 12-hour night. It's also the Passover, or the passing over of the sun over the equator, on its way back to its height in the summer solstice. That's astrotheology. In Christianity, the passing over is changed, and it's called the resurrection of God's only begotten Son, the light of the world. I mean, metaphors galore, right? In Judaism, the Passover is when the angel of death passes over Egypt, and anybody who doesn't have the lamb or the ram, Aries, the lamb or the ram's blood smeared on the door, their firstborn son will die. So there's three different meanings, but they all go back to the sun passing over on March 21st. Whenever you hear ram, lamb, shepherd, ram's horn, you're talking about Aries. Taurus is the bull. And when you look at the sky and you see Taurus during the season where it's supposed to be, you know that you need to put the plow on the bull so that you can plant the seeds so that you can harvest in Virgo and Libra. So whenever you hear bull, ox, calf, or cow, they're talking about Taurus. Gemini is the twins. It's the story of Castor and Pollux Troy, whose sister was Helen of Troy, the story of Achilles. So whenever you hear twins or brothers, they're talking about Gemini. Cancer is the crab, and it's the sideways moving creature. So just as the sun rises a degree on its axis starting on December 25th every single day, it stops rising on June 21st. That's its height. That's the summer solstice. The sun is out longer than any day of the year. And then for 3 days, it stays that way. So it moves sideways like the crab. And then on June 25th, it lowers a degree. The crab in the ancient Egyptian times was known as the scarab. So anytime you hear crab or beetle, they're talking about Cancer. Leo is the king. The lion is the king of the jungle. The ruling planet of Leo is actually the sun. So whenever you hear lion, lioness, or cub, you're talking about Leo. Virgo is the woman holding the wheat stalk. So remember before when you said that you plant in Taurus, well, the virgins would come out and cultivate the wheat in Virgo in order to make the bread for the year. So whenever you hear virgin, wheat, grain, seed, barley, corn, grainy things of that nature, things that you harvest, that happens in Virgo. Then Libra is the justice. It's the scales, it's the balance, it's the just one. And the reason it's the justice is because it judges God's sun as it passes over the fall equinox and begins its descent into winter, into cold, into death. Celebrated as the Passover as it goes over the equator, mourned as it goes under the equator, September 21st. Okay. Libra is also wine season, which is when you plant for the seeds in Taurus, you could press the wine here. So whenever you hear law, judge, justice, the just one, divorce, marriage court, wine, vineyard, wine press, grapes, or olive oil, they're talking about Libra. Or they're talking about oil, or they talk about olives, because that's when you press the olives too, is in Libra. Scorpio is the scorpion. He is known as the betrayer. When a scorpion bites you, it leaves an imprint in your skin that looks like a pair of lips. That's why the mafia has the kiss of death, and it's why Jesus was betrayed by Judas with a kiss. So the sun is judged in Libra, and it's betrayed in Scorpio. And then finally in Sagittarius, this is where the bow and the arrow shoot the sun, effectively killing it. Okay, because on December 21st, the last day of Sagittarius, this is when the sun is dead. The sun is at its lowest height. The night is the longest. The sun is out the shortest amount of time. And then just like the 3-day walk in Cancer, it walks 3 days in Sagittarius too. Yeah, so whenever you hear horse, bow and arrow, spear, horseman, they're talking about Sagittarius. Then Capricorn is the goat because he likes to climb the mountain. If you look at the zodiac wheel, Capricorn's at the bottom of it. And that's how he starts to climb up the mountain on its way to its height, 1 degree a day, every day until it hits Cancer. So those are the 12 signs. Now let's get into the book of Psalms, because I recently did this and I haven't done this for anyone yet. So this is going to be the first time I actually do this. But he delights in the law of the Lord. This is Psalm 1. And in his law, he meditates day and night. He will be like a tree firmly planted by streams of water, which yield its fruit in its season. The wicked are not so, but they are like the chaff which the wind drives away. Therefore, the wicked will not stand in the judgment. The law is Libra. The stream of water is Pisces. The chaff is the wheat stalk in the sign of Virgo, because wheat has chaff. Okay, Pisces and Virgo are opposing signs. As I always mention, you're always going to see patterns of opposing signs and neighboring signs. Okay, the judgment is Libra once more. Psalm 4, you have put gladness in my heart, more that when their grain and new wine abound. The grain is Virgo and the wine is Libra. Those are connecting signs. God is a righteous judge, and Psalm 7, and a God who has indignation every day. If a man does not repent, he will sharpen his sword. He has bent his bow and made it ready. The judge is Libra. The sword and the bow are Sagittarius with the bow and the arrow. You will see many passages with the sword and the bow together. Psalm 8, when I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars which you ordained. What is man that you take thought of him, and the son of man that you care for him? All sheep and oxen, and also all the beasts in the field, the birds of the heavens and the fish in the sea. Well, they're openly talking about the sun and the moon here. I mean, the stars and the moon. Okay, the man and the son of man is Aquarius. The sheep are Aries. The oxen are Taurus, and the fish of the sea are Pisces. Aries and Taurus are connecting signs. Pisces and Aries and Aquarius and Pisces, they're also connecting signs. Okay, so there's a lot of patterns that you'll find if you break this down with the keywords that I've given you, that I give you every time I come on. But the Lord abides forever. He has established his throne for judgment, and he will judge the world in righteousness. He will execute judgment for the people with equity. Well, judge, we know that's Libra. You're going to see a lot of that coming up. Psalm 11, for behold, the wicked bend the bow. They make ready their arrow upon the string to shoot into the darkness at the upright in heart. Sagittarius is the bow and the arrow that shoot the sun, effectively killing it in December 21st. The darkness is because it is now winter, the longest night of the year, so it's pure darkness. That's all they're talking about right there. They're referring to December 21st, which is the winter solstice. The Lord has looked down from heaven upon the sons of men. Do all the workers of wickedness not know, who eat up my people as they eat bread and do not call upon the Lord? The sons of men are Aquarius and the bread is Virgo. Now, if you connect the firmament between Pisces and Aquarius and the Leo Virgo firmament, they connect their opposing signs. Okay, so there's ways that you can kind of bend the zodiac in order to find the patterns. He is like Psalm 17. He is like a lion that is eager to tear, and as a young lion lurking in hiding places. So the lion is Leo. So that's what they're referring to. Psalm 18, the Lord also thundered in the heavens. He sent out arrows and scattered them. Then the channels of water appeared. So the Hebrew word for thunder translates to voices. Okay, so they would hear thunder, much like the Greeks heard thunder and they thought of Zeus. They would hear thunder and thought God was talking to them. The arrows are Sagittarius and the channels of water are Aquarius. Psalm 19, the fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of the Lord are true. They are righteous altogether. They are more desirable than gold, yes, than much fine gold. Sweeter also than the honey and the drippings of the honeycomb. So the judgment are Libra. The gold is the sun, which is sweeter than honey. In the sign Cancer, there's a group of stars called the beehive cluster, which is where the honey comes from, which we've went over before. 12, Psalm 21. For you will make them turn their back. You will aim with your bowstrings at their faces. That's Sagittarius with the bow and the arrow. 22. Many bulls have surrounded me. Strong bulls of Bashan have encircled me. They open wide their mouth at me as a ravening and roaring lion. My only life from the power of the dog. Save me from the lion's mouth. From the horns of the wild oxen, you answer me. So the bulls are Taurus, the lion is Leo, the dog is Sirius, the dog star. The lion is Leo and the oxen are Taurus. 5 signs in 4 passages. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. Shepherd is the sheep, which is in Aries. Jesus is called the Lamb of God or the Good Shepherd when the sun is in Aries. The quiet water or Pisces. Those 2 are connecting signs. There's the pattern again that you see. The voice of the Lord, Psalm 29, is upon the waters. The glory of God thunders. The Lord is over many waters. He makes Lebanon skip like a calf and Syrian like a young wild ox. Yeah, it has to be this. You have to, at this point, you're seeing the same animals over and over again. There's millions of animals. Yet you see the same specific ones referenced over and over again, and they happen to be all in the zodiac, or they happen to be part of the 48 constellations that Ptolemy listed in 150 AD. Come on. The waters are Aquarius and Pisces. The Lord is over many waters. That's more than one. So Pisces and Aquarius both represent water, as I've explained. The calf and the wild ox are Taurus, the bull. Draw also the spear and the battle axe to meet those who pursue me. Let them be like chaff before the wind. I went about as though it were my friend or brother. Rescue my soul from their ravages, my only life from the lions. The spear is Sagittarius with the bow and the arrow. The chaff is Virgo, the wheat stalk. The brother is Gemini, the brothers. And the lion is Leo. There's 4 signs in literally 4 sentences. Your righteous, Psalms 36, your righteousness is like the mountains of God. Your judgments are like a great deep. They drink their fill of the abundance of your house, and you give them to drink of the river of your delights. For with you is the fountain of life. In your light, we see light. So the judgment is Libra. The river is Pisces, fish in the water, fish in the river. The fountain is Aquarius. Those are connecting signs. The light is the light seen of the stars. So in your light, we see light. You'd be talking about the fish in the water as Pisces, but then you look up and you see the stars that connect as Pisces. Psalm 37, the wicked have drawn their sword and bent their bow. The sword will enter their own heart and their bows will be broken. That's Sagittarius again. Okay. Sagittarius can also be referenced to a spear. There's 2 important, and remember, death. Sagittarius is death. December 21st. That's what Sagittarius represents. Scorpio represents the betrayer. It's judged in Libra. Okay. Sagittarius is the death. The spear, okay, the 2 most important murders in the entire Bible are Jesus, and at the end, he's hit with the spear of destiny to his side to check if he's dead. So that's one spear. The other one would be Cain and Abel, the first murder, the one that allowed for all the other murders. Okay, Cain hit Abel in the head with a rock, buried his body, and then hid and then lied to God. But the word Cain in Hebrew, the name Cain, actually means spear. So there's their second spear. Okay, so spear is Sagittarius, just like the bow and the arrow, which is obvious, just like the sword. Okay. Psalm 45, gird your sword on your thigh, O mighty one, in your splendor and your majesty. Your arrows are sharp. The people fall under you. Your arrows are in the heart of the king's enemies. Again, the sword and the arrows both mean Sagittarius. So does spear, as I've just explained. No man can by any means redeem his brother. Well, the brothers are Gemini. Psalm 50, and the heavens declare his righteousness, for God himself is a judge. Well, we know that's Libra. You know, we just see the patterns already. I shall take no young bull out of your house, nor male goats out of your fold. And we know the bull is Taurus, and we know the goat is Capricorn. Shall I eat the flesh of bulls or drink the blood of male goats? Again, they're talking about the same 2 animals. But as for me, I am like a green olive tree in the house of God. The house of God is the zodiac. Each sign are called houses. The olives are in Libra when you press them to make oil. I do a decoding about the Mount of Olives, where Jesus is in. It's after the Passover. We know the Passover is in Aries. He walks to the Mount of Olives. Well, olives are in Libra, so we're going from Aries to Libra. Those are opposing signs. So you follow the pattern. His words were softer than oil, yet they were drawn swords. The oil is Libra, and the swords is Sagittarius. My soul is among lions. I must lie among those who breathe forth fire, even the sons of men whose teeth are spears and arrows and their tongue a sharp sword. Lions are Leo, the fire is the sun, The sons of man are Aquarius, and the spears and arrows and sword again are Sagittarius. Psalm 58. They have venom like the venom of a serpent. O God, shatter their teeth in their mouth. Break out the fangs of the young lions, O Lord. Let them flow away like water that runs off. When he aims his arrows, let them be as headless shafts. So the serpent is Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer. Now, all this decoding, all of it that I do is with tropical astrology, which is what they used to encode at the time. Now, they were familiar with sidereal astrology and Vedic astrology at the time, but that's not how it was encoded. One of the 48 constellations was Ophiuchus that Ptolemy talked about. So they knew about Ophiuchus. So whenever they're talking about the serpent, it's usually, you got to differentiate. It's usually going to be one of two things. It's going to be Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer, or it's going to be Hydra, the sea serpent. So you got to figure that out. In the same pattern that there's multiple eagles. You have the eagle, which is the evolved form of Scorpio. And you also have Aquila, which is known as eagle. Okay. So serpent is Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer. The lions are Leo. The water that runs off is Aquarius, and the arrows are Sagittarius with the bow and the arrow. You have given us wine to drink that makes us stagger. Wine is in Libra. Psalm 65. You visit the earth and cause it to overflow. You greatly enrich it. The stream of God is full of water. You prepare their grain for this. You prepare the earth. Well, I didn't write anything on it, but so let's go over this then. Okay. The stream of God is full of water. Okay. That's a water sign. That's Pisces. You prepare their grain for this. You prepare the earth. Well, the grain is in Virgo. Now, Pisces and Virgo are opposing signs. Psalm 66. I shall offer you burnt offerings of fat beasts with the smoke of rams. I shall make you an offering of bulls with male goats. Again, it's the same animals, and they happen to be in the zodiac. The rams are Aries, the bull is Taurus, and the male goats are Capricorn. They never talk about any of the other animals that are on Noah's Ark. It's always the same animals that they talk about. Usually it's of the 12 zodiac signs. Once in a while, they'll mention, like if you see what I did with the book of Job, they'll be talking about like Ursa. They'll be talking about the can you lead the bear and its cubs out? Well, the bear is Ursa Major and Ursa Minor are the cubs. So sometimes they use constellations. More often than not, they're using the zodiac. Psalm 68. When the Almighty scattered the kings there, it was snowing in Zalmon. People talk about how in the Middle East is hot and it never snows. It never used to be that way. The science of astrotheology works in the Middle East. Winter is coming. Okay, so I get a lot of people telling me, where it was written, there wasn't a lot of weather. There wasn't this. They're openly talking about snow. I mean, the Egyptians do too in the Book of the Dead. They talk about snowing in winter. But God is the judge. He puts down one and exalts another. This is Psalm 75. For a cup is in the hand of the Lord, and the wine foams. So the judge is Libra, the wine is Libra. The cup is the constellation Crater, which means cup. Okay. Psalm 76. There he broke the flaming arrows, the shield and the sword, and the weapons of war. At you rebuke, O God of Jacob. Both rider and horse were cast into a deep sleep. You caused judgment to be heard from heaven. Sagittarius. No more mention of the sword and arrows. Just know that there are many verses about it. The rider and the horse is Sagittarius. Okay. And the judgment is Libra. I'm not going to mention the swords and the arrows anymore because there's just so many of them. Now, the other thing too that I did when I went through the book of Psalms that you have to understand is if there was a singular mention of just one sign, I didn't even include it. There's tons of them where they just randomly talk about he is good judge or the fish was well or the fish was delicious or something to that effect. Right? But if it's just one mention of it, I don't even put it in there. I've only put in the ones that have multiple signs so that you could see that it was done on purpose. Psalm 78. The sons of Ephraim were archers equipped with bows, yet they turned their back in the day of battle. They did not keep the covenant of God and refused to walk in his law. Well, the law is Libra again, and the bow and the arrows equipped with bows, well, that's Sagittarius. Continuing with Psalm 78, he rained down manna upon them to eat, and he gave them food from heaven. Man did eat the bread of angels. So the bread is Virgo. Manna in Hebrew means what's this? What's this is a small round thing on the ground that they would eat and they could talk to God. It's the bread of angels. It was a hallucinogen. They would eat, it was mushrooms. It's a small round one thing. They would go, manna. What's this? They would say it to each other, manna. That's what it is. Psalm 78 continued. Fire devoured his young men, and his virgins had no wedding songs. His priests fell by the sword. It's always interesting how people talk about how virgin, when they mention virgins, it's talking about Virgo, right? Always. But when you bring that up, they say it's not. Well, then why call them a virgin? They're women. They're children. Why are they talked about? Why are they spoken about? Only the women by their sexual proclivities. Okay. The reason they do that is because Virgo is the virgin, and it's caused a lot of problems in Islam. It's caused a lot of problems in Christianity. He also chose David, his servant, and took him from the sheepfolds. From then care of the ewes with suckling lambs he brought them. So virgins are Virgo. The sword is Sagittarius. The sheep is Aries, and the lambs are Aries. So see how I only bring up multiple examples, not just singular examples. You have fed them with the bread of tears. You removed the vine from Egypt. You drove out the nations and planted it. The bread is Virgo, and the vine is the grapevine or wine. That's Libra. Those are connecting signs. Psalm 81, but I would feed you with the finest of the wheat, and with honey from the rock I would satisfy you. The wheat is Virgo, and honey comes from the beehive cluster in Cancer. Psalm 91, you will tread upon the lion and cobra. The young lion and the serpent you will trample. The lion is Leo, and the cobra serpent is Ophiuchus. Psalm 92, but you have exalted my horn like that of a wild ox. I have been anointed with fresh oil. The ox is Taurus, and the oil is Libra. Psalm 103, who satisfies your years with good things so that your youth is renewed like the eagle. There's the eagle we were just talking about before. The Lord performs righteous deeds and judgments for all who are oppressed. Now let's figure out which eagle they're talking about. So the judgment is Libra. The eagle can either be Aquila, the eagle, or the Scorpio, which evolves an eagle. However, if you know this, that Libra and Scorpio are connecting signs, more often than not, that's what they're talking about. Because remember, always go with the pattern, the connecting sign and the opposing sign. Not only is this book brilliant in talking about the zodiac in a very encoded way, but there's also real patterns that you could find to know that it was intentionally done that way, deliberate. Psalm 104, he sends forth springs in their valleys. The wild donkeys quench their thirst. He causes the grass to grow for cattle, and wine which makes man's heart glad, so that he may make his face glisten with oil. The high mountains are for the wild goats. He made the moon for the seasons. The sun knows its place and its setting. The young lions roar after their prey. The springs are Aquarius. The wild donkeys, that's Acellus Borealis, which is in Cancer. The cattle is Taurus, the bull. The wine is Libra. The oil is Libra. The wild goats are Capricorn. The moon for its seasons and the sun knowing its place in the setting is openly talking about the sun and the moon. The lions roar after their prey are Leo. 7 signs in Psalm 104. Psalm 107, and sow fields and plant vineyards and gather a fruitful harvest. Also, he blessed them, and they multiply greatly, and he does not let their cattle decrease. The vineyards are Libra, and the cattle are Taurus. Psalm 109, but he clothed himself with cursing as with his garment, and it entered into his body like water and like oil into his bones. Well, the water is Aquarius, and the oil is Libra. Again, if you're using Aquarius's firmament with Pisces, which is still using Aquarius, you can connect it to Libra as opposing signs. Psalm 113, the mountains skip like rams, the hills like lambs. Who turned the rock into a pool of water, the flint into a fountain of water? Rams are Aries, the lambs are Aries, the fountain of water is Aquarius. There's a section where they stop numbering them and they start alphabetizing them. You have the Hebrew alphabet. You have Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey. Vav Zayin Chet Tet, Yud Kaf Lamed, Mem Nun Samech Ayin, Pei Tzadik Kuf Resh Shin Taf. This one is Mem. 97. Oh, how I love your law. How sweet are your words to my taste, yes, sweeter than honey to my mouth. Law is Libra, and honey is the beehive cluster in Cancer. The Hebrew alphabet, or in Latin, alphabeta, or in Hebrew, aleph bet. I'm sorry, in English, it's, oh, no, I'm sorry. Alphabet is in English. Let me change that. Sorry, guys. The English alphabet, or in Latin, it would be alpha and beta, or in Hebrew, it would be aleph and bet. Okay? Now, law is Libra, and honey is the beehive cluster in Cancer. It is vain for you to rise up early, to retire late, to eat the bread of pained laborers. Like arrows in the hand of a warrior, how blessed is the man whose quiver is full of them. The bread is Virgo, and the arrows and quiver are Sagittarius. Psalm 144, send out your arrows and confuse them. Rescue me and deliver me out of the great waters. Who gives salvation to kings? Who rescues David and his servant from the evil sword? Let our cattle bear without mishap and without your loss. So the arrows are Sagittarius, the great waters are Aquarius and Pisces, the sword is Sagittarius, and the cattle is Taurus. And then finally, we have Psalm 147. He gives to the beast its food, and to the young ravens which cry. He does not delight in the strength of the horse. He does not take pleasure in the legs of man. He makes peace in your borders. He satisfies you with the finest of the wheat. He gives snow like wool. So the ravens are the constellation Corvus. The horse is Sagittarius. The man is Aquarius. The wheat is Virgo, and the wool from sheep are Aries. Okay, and that's the book of Psalms, guys. I just want to mention, if you guys think that I'm bringing up constellations that weren't known at the time, or I'm trying to bend this to fit astrotheology, it's not. Do yourself a favor. Go to Google and type in when was Saturn discovered, and it'll spit out 1610, and then it'll tell you that Galileo saw the two rings when he was looking through his telescope, and we know that's bullshit. We know that the ancient Saturnalia worship was based on Saturn. We know that Saturn was closer. We know this. They openly lie about when stars had come out, about when they lie. They lie and they leave it there. Google it if you don't believe me. But also go through Ptolemy's 48 constellations that he knew at the time. So that's that. And I just wanted to thank you once again. And the next one that I'm going to be doing is going to be called the Gospel of Q, which is the oldest gospel ever found. And it is also going to be, it's a little shorter, okay? But it's the oldest gospel. It's the gospel that Mark, which is the oldest gospel, draws from, where all the other ones draw from too.